my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ron Mule, who will introduce his band, I hope. Since I haven't met them, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the program.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. All ready? Thank you. The first tune we did was a tune called Boil 'Em Cabbage Down, and we played it because it was the theme song of the Louisiana Hayride for 12 years while it was at the Municipal Auditorium in Shreveport. And it's also a popular country fiddle tune. It comes from the British Isles from a tune called the River Wye, and it had the words that I sang supposedly came from the black slaves who played this tune. It's both country and the slaves played it too on the plantations. I'd like to start out here after introducing that by advertising my books. I usually forget to say anything about them. I have them over here, and I've reduced 3 of them to $20 a piece. And so if you're interested in them after the concert, we need the gas money. No. Anyway, let me introduce everybody right off the bat so I won't forget that. Playing the mandolin, Mr. Thomas Townsley from here in Sulphur, Westlake. Sulphur, okay. He's been playing about a year, okay, on the banjo from Longville, used to be from Lake Charles. Wes Edwards. On the guitar and the bass are Clifford and Sue Blackman. They're from the Junction or out close to Maryville. And over here on the fiddle is Emily Young from DeRidder. Well, Baton Rouge now. She claims Baton Rouge since she went to LSU and got her degree. But she was a 2006 Louisiana State Fiddle Champion and does a great job. We've been playing together for years, and she's about my favorite fiddler. She may not be the best, but she's my favorite. Okay. Okay, well, the first subject we're going to address, did everybody get one of the leaflets in the back? If they didn't, well, we can hand them out to people. Because if you get bored, that'll give you something to read. This is a library. So, But I'd like to just go over a few things about fiddle playing right off the bat. It was very popular in early times for several reasons with the immigrants and the rural settlers, because being real small, it could be stuffed in a corner and played. And I'll just show you here real quick. Another reason is it provided both melody and rhythm to your song when you played. The last song the melody would be this. Basically, that would be the melody. Okay, the way we played it, we put rhythm to it. We used this lick right here on this one particular song. We used a lot of different other rhythms, but which I call the bum ditty. I don't know. Okay, so it was the song I just got through playing the melody to would sound like this. Get the idea? Okay, and the others are like that too, and use accents. There's the Chattanooga rhythm, which we also used on that one when we did this. Chattanooga, Chattanooga, get the idea? And then when we do blues, there are a lot of other things we'll do as we go through, and fiddlers do this, and violinists hate this. Well, I know at least the lady in Leesville does that teaches violin. She cannot stand to hear anybody do this. It's got to be, they want straight on, head on. But that's a part of fiddle playing. In fact, some people exaggerate it so much that it doesn't sound good to me, but I mean, they play the way they want. That's another thing I'll get into in just a minute. The first fiddler that ever came to the United States they have a record of was in Jamestown in 1620. And I don't know when the first person in Louisiana brought a fiddle here, but I do know this, that in 1790, I believe Barry Ansel, in one of his books that are back here, he talks about 1790, the Acadians, one of them had a fiddle in his sack or something to that effect. So I know it was introduced by at least 1790. Well, let me look. Okay, like the Bible, fiddle tunes are usually transferred by one person listening to another, like Thomas has done. He'd hear us play a song, and then he would go home, work on it, and he'd come back and work on it again, just keep on until he finally gets it the way he wants to play it. Each person has his own style. I know Emily, for an example, I taught her how to play these songs, and yet she doesn't play anything like me anymore, which is really great. I actually told them, if a year from now you play like me, I'm going to take your fiddle away from you. Most of the Louisiana fiddle tunes of the early period were two-part fiddle tunes, and in the past few years, the methods of learning have changed from learning by ear, we'll call it, or transfer from one fiddler to another. And now violinists are getting into the act, who play the violin and have played in classically for years, and they want to do something a little different, so they take tune books and learn the fiddle tunes. And so it's just a different way of doing it, and I suppose after a year or two they start acting like us. I don't know whether that's good or not. Okay, as we go through, I'll talk a little bit more about different things. Where's my... Okay, we're going to start out with the early period. We're going to play 3 or 4 fiddle tunes here. We're going to just briefly play them. We're not going to play very long like we would at a normal show. Just want to give you a demonstration. The first tune I'll play is a tune called Rabbit Up a Gum Stump. Was recorded by Hyder Cobbin from Duboc in North Louisiana in 1929, who made a living going around playing in country dances and bars in East Texas and all. It's a tune called Rabbit Up a Gum Stump, and it's unique. The fiddle is tuned to a chord, to an A chord. So when I'm playing notes over here in the key of A on the A and E string, these 2 bass strings are vibrating sympathetically. I'll play just a little of it. A. made a mistake here of writing this so small I can't read it. Okay, we're going to get Emily to come over here now and play us another tune. This was a tune made popular by locally around in this area by a guy named Cecil Burge, who I learned from. And he won the DeRitter contest numerous times with this one tune. It's called Rubber Dolly, and if I can remember the words, I'll sing them. You ready, Em? Okay, this is another early tune, and this one is traced back to Scottish roots, from Lord Macdonald's reel in Scotland. It's a tune, an American tune they call Leather Breeches. Leather breeches is a lot of things. To me, it's a pair of leather breeches. But then Alan Jabbar says it's some kind of beans, and they call it leather breeches. So it's over the years transferring across the United States and back and forth. It's changed all kind of connotations, I suppose. But I'm gonna play it in the old time style, like Grandpa's Clifford's grandpa, Lum Nichols, from the early '70s when I taped him, and he was in his 80s at that time. And then Emily's gonna come behind and play the more modern version of it. Well, yeah, you can see the difference between it. Of course, Lum was a man who worked in the woods, had a farm, and all week he was beating and banging on his hands. Emily goes to school and doesn't do that sort of stuff, so her hands are able to make all those notes. I don't know if Lum could have made those notes or not. Okay, I'm going to do one more from one of my old friends, John Bailey, who was Tex Ritter's third cousin. In fact, I have his fiddle, which belonged to Tex Ritter. And it's called the Old Country Dance. It's a waltz. Sort of unique to this part of the country. Only 2 or 3 people I know play it. Over the years I've heard play it, and it's right in from Allen Parish over in around Newton, Texas. Right in this little area, people played it. Sort of kin to the country waltz played up in the Midwestern part of the United States. Okay. You'll notice I used a lot of rhythmic bowing on that. That was a lot the old-timey way because they would be playing for dancers unamplified in some house somewhere, and they had to hear rhythm because the only thing they would have besides that might be somebody beating on a pot pan or a broom or rubbing on the floor or something like that. So the fiddling had to be both melodic and rhythmic, and that's really obvious in this one tune. One other thing I used, and especially popular in Cajun music, is the use of drones. When I hit a D here, I drone the D below it. A. See, that gives more volume also, and accents a note. Okay, the next thing we're going to tune style we're going to look at is blues, and y'all probably heard a lot of blues around Lake Charles. I suppose Swamp Pop's probably built on that. And first tune we'll do will be a tune that a friend of mine plays in Vernon Parish. Is probably about the best fiddler I know in this whole country, Master Brack. And he learned a lot of his stuff from Western swing players. But most fiddlers like to play blues, and some of them have some in their repertoire, especially the second one we're going to do, which is Milk Cow Blues. Everybody I know plays that, and there's a lot of different things you do when you're playing the blues on the fiddle. I'll show you a little technique. Goes to sliding, and you do what they call a smear. That'd be playing 2 notes at a time. There's a lot of double stops, which I won't go into that. There's also some syncopated rhythms where they'll do like triplet. It's just in the middle context of a song they'll do that. And also one thing that they do a lot in blues, and I hear this especially on the guitar and the slide guitars, they hold notes over where classically trained was 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, this may be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it just goes just across the line a little bit. In fact, Bill Monroe, in playing the mandolin, they say that one reason he has so much drive in his band is that he didn't play right on the head of the beat. He played just ahead of it, enough to pull the musicians and give drive to the bluegrass music. And I'm just the opposite. I'm playing behind it, so I have a lot of trouble doing that on the mandolin. Anyway, the first tune we're going to do is one that Master and Brack taught me, called Louisiana Blues. And it's a tune that's a part of Memphis blues. This song is taken from it, and I do not know the origins of this song in Louisiana, but I know other fiddlers that play it. See. And there were no words to that one. There might be. I'll have to research it. Okay, the next tune we're going to do is very popular among fiddlers, and like I said, nearly every fiddler I know plays at this tune if they don't play it. They like it. Although it was, I think it's just an old blues tune that was first recorded in the 1930s, but the popular version here, because Western swing was so popular in this Southwest Louisiana, the version that everybody has sort of copied is the Milk Cow Blues or Brain Cloudy Blues from Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. Okay, you gonna take any of this, Emily?
I'd like that.
Okay. Well, I woke up this morning and I forgot the words. I can't remember the words. Bail me out. Take it. I don't sing that song. We're part of the Medicare string band that plays nursing homes in Beauregard Parish, and somebody else sings it. And probably if I knew the words, I'd have forgotten them anyway. Anyway, now we're all eligible for Medicare, but the reason we're called Medicare completely, they're paying Medicare. Okay. Okay, our last one is going to be one I just learned for this here. And this will be a tour de force to see if we can get this right. Easy Rider Blues, recorded by Leo Small. I always liked it. Recorded in 1929. He was a great fiddler from Ville Platte who sort of helped put Harry Schultz on the map. that tune doesn't follow the 12-bar blues like the other blues tunes you usually hear the blues players play. There was just something about this. When I heard this recording, this guy's just spontaneously making up words on the spot, like you would think a blues person would, like Ira LeJean did. That's what he did. I've told people before, if he was at a dance and he saw a good-looking redhead over there, he would make up words that would fit what he wanted to sing about. So, but he was a very good blues Cajun person, and in fact, in his record collection there were a lot of blues. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is Cajun music. I really don't have a definition for Cajun music. If you want to find out what Cajun music is, go over and read Ann Savoy's book, or that little one of Barry Anseley's is a great little book, which comes from the Center for Louisiana Studies. And but basically, to me, it's very danceable rhythmic music from the Acadians and also from the descendants that were Germans, the French, and the Irish. They had a big effect on the sound that music developed into. The Germans, because they introduced the diatonic accordion at about 1880, and by the 1920s by 1930s especially, it had taken over Cajun music, and that's all you heard. If you didn't have accordion in a band in South Louisiana, it didn't sound right. The fiddle had lost all of its meaning up until the accordion took over. When you went to a country dance, you heard fiddles playing, sometimes 3 or 4 at a time, playing chords, and behind the melodic fiddler. But and they played completely different songs than they did after they got the accordion came into being. And so after World War II, or around the beginning of World War II, there were a lot of fiddlers that went to playing in straight standard tuning, and played Cajun music in a country style or Western swing style. So the first song I want to do on that is a tune called Jolie Blonde that was recorded by Harry Schultz, who lived in this area around 1950, and earlier than that when they played on KPLC radio. I do know he recorded here at the studio in 1949. They did Jolie Brown, Jolie Brun they call it. Jolie Blonde, key of A. And that is an old Cajun tune that's first recorded by the Bro Brothers in 1929 as Jolie Blonde. And some of y'all may have known Lutter Darbon from Sulphur, who was the head of the Hackberry Ramblers. He did a very great version of that. Floyd LeBlanc, and I don't see Jeannie here, but her daddy did a very good version of that on the OT label, and as well. And it's also Leo Swallow, who I just got through playing. He recorded the song as the Gaydon Waltz, and the Ira LeJean recorded it as La Fille de Veuve, which is the widow's something daughter. Okay, the second song we're going to do is, I talked about going back to straight tuning. The second song we're going to do is Diggy Liggy Lie, Diggy Liggy Low, which most of y'all will remember was recorded by Doug Kershaw. And he had probably the most popular version of it. But the people that wrote it live in Jennings. It was the Clement brothers. And the fiddler on that was Purvis Clement. He does a great break. They do it in B flat. But for demonstration, I'm going to show you, we're going to use a tuning on the fiddle that when I play with a Cajun band, it has a C accordion. I tune down one step from that. See how much lower it is? And so you're in tune, so I can play one step down and play the same notes for Jolie Blonde I played there and play with a C accordion. We're going to do D, Liggy, Light, so you just get a sort of idea how mellow this sound is. One thing is that they usually will, they amplify, they play amplified. Very seldom do they play acoustic like we do. So they can compete with the accordion for volume because they can turn the knob up. Okay. You hear how much lower and more mellow that sounded compared to a standard A tuning fiddle. Okay, the next song I'm going to play was written by Maurice Connor from Lake Arthur, which is just south of Jennings. He wrote it in the 1920s. He wrote it, and him and his brothers played as the Connor Boys string band at country dances at the Bucket of Blood in Lake Arthur. You may have heard about that. Doesn't sound like it had screen wire, the old screen wire where nobody could throw beer bottles at them, I reckon, or bottles. Anyway, he wrote this, and it originally was called the Lake Arthur Two-Step. But when the people would dance to this, they'd get out there, and they would, in fact, on the dirt floors, if they were dancing on a dirt floor, they would just go to stomping their feet in beat, in rhythm and dancing, and dust would just be flying everywhere. So they renamed the song to the Lake Arthur Stomp. So that's the reason for that name. He never recorded this song till years later when he was up in his 70s. But in 1935, J.B. Fugile, who played the accordion with him around 1930 and dances around Gaydon, Lake Arthur, and down in there, he recorded this on the Victor label. It's called Lake Arthur Stomp. Oh, and another thing too, I wanted to play this in that lower tuning, but Maurice Connor hated two things. He hated the accordion, and he hated playing in a lower tuning. In fact, his son said that sometimes he would just raise the fiddle even up higher to tune it, I suppose, to B flat or something, because he liked that piercing sound. Okay, the next style that's prominent in Louisiana, it's separated itself from regular fiddling in the 1970s. The history of fiddle contests all throughout Louisiana all during the century. Early on, fiddlers played at contests what they normally you would hear them play at a country dance, and that would include hornpipes, cotillions, even some jigs that I've read in the newspaper. I mainly got all this stuff from newspaper accounts from a few people that went to them that were in their 90s at the time. And but they mainly just played the regular old tunes. There was nothing special about them. Same thing in I suppose the best fiddler won. By the 1950s, when Orange Blossom Special and some of those tunes were becoming, show tunes were becoming popular, they became real popular in Louisiana. In other states, they banned these songs because they were show tunes. Tunes like Mockingbird that had where you do bird calls in it, or the Orange Blossom Special, which we'll do later, which has some kind of a train sound, and so these were all banned. In 1970, I know I was really involved in it. That's when I came into it. We had probably more fiddle contests in Louisiana than anywhere, because my wife Georgia and I ran a lot of them. And I think we ran like 40 or 50 in one year. I mean, we'd have two or three on one weekend. Anyways, the Texas fiddling began to drift over here mainly because of Ken Smith from Kinder. He's a great fiddle player from Kinder who went and learned the Texas style of fiddling and just changed everything when he came back over here and played those songs in the contest. They're so the melodies and the little touches they put on it are so intricate. They use a syncopated beat rhythm, and they just put all us country fiddlers way to the back. I mean, but it was very interesting, and it's very dominant now. I suppose you go to a contest now in Louisiana, which is the one at Natchitoches, you'll see half the people playing or more playing Texas style fiddle. They don't play Louisiana style fiddle, what I call Louisiana style. So I'm going to have Emily come up. She plays this song very well, and she doesn't mean this, but it's Don't Love Nobody. Get on up here up closer where they can see you. See what I'm talking about, Texas style? That's completely different from what I've been doing. She does it very well. Thank you, Emily. Okay, I'm going to do one that was a favorite, the Black Mountain Rag. And there's a little story I'll tell about this. They say there's the Black Mountain Rag that we know today in this cross tune. It's tuned to a complete A chord, which would be A, E, A, C sharp. Give it more resonance again, more volume. That this came from a tune that the Stripling brothers from Alabama did back in the 30s called Lost Child. But in Louisiana, there was a tune called Pretty Little Widder. My grandfather played it, and people up around Colfax played it. There were several fiddlers from up in there played it. And it has the very exact same melody, but they use a straight tuning, like on the brown fiddle a while ago, as opposed to this tuning here. And what's really weird is they played that song, and they played Black Mountain Rag, and they never equated the two. First time I ever heard Pretty Little Widder, I thought Black Mountain Rag. They would play both songs, and they never. The Pretty Little Widder was a little more bluesy sounding. Okay, so I'm gonna do Black Mountain Rag. Okay, we're going to have Emily do another fiddle tune that's popular, and it's called the Fisher's Hornpipe, the key of D. This tune can be played in B. Is played by a lot of fiddlers in B flat, D, and F, but she's going to do it in D. And at every contest, a lot of times they'll ask you to play a hornpipe. Well, she plays it in a more up-tempo version than the Irish people would play it at about half the speed she's going to probably play it. So, because they had a dance they did, which was called the hornpipe. Okay, Emily, the Fisher's Hornpipe. Very good, very good. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at will be Western Swing. Basically, it's a music that was born around Dallas-Fort Worth in the late 20s from country music. And it has a real up-tempo beat, a real happy beat. And the kind of beat, like if you go into a nursing home, you want to make sure you play that. You don't want to play anything sad. They take a sad song and do it in an up-tempo, you know. But it has a syncopated rhythms and everything, and the fiddles play in harmony a lot, and we'll do that in just a minute. Okay, the tune I'm going to do is going to be Dragging the Bow. Take a break? swingy. Anyway, our next tune will be the other tune we'll do to demonstrate Western swing. It's going to be a tune that's very popular. Every fiddler I know knows this one too. That's like the Milk Cow Blues. Again, it's a Bob Wills tune. It's called "Faded Love." It's written by Bob and Johnny Wills, and it was recorded about 1950. But it's taken from a song from 1856 called "Darling Nellie Gray." And my daddy, whenever I first started learning the fiddle at the age of 26 or 7, he said, "You know Darling Nellie Gray?" He said they played that at every country dance. And years later, I finally figured it out. That was "Faded Love," almost, not quite. So I'm going to play Darling Nellie Gray first, and then Emily and I are going to play "Faded Love." Okay? You want to take part of it? Now, "Faded Love." Okay, the next style we'll talk about it just briefly. It's not real popular except around New Orleans, and they had a Celtic festival here in Lake Charles for several years, and it was popular then. It would be what I would call Irish, Scottish, New England style, because New England people play a lot of this single note sort of style with these little ornamentations, which would be triplets, trebles, cuts, and rolls, and things like that, which I'm not going to go into. And we're going to have Emily demonstrate an example of an Irish tune called "Swallowtail Jig" in E minor. Shirley, we're going to run over just a little bit. Okay, the next style we'll talk about is bluegrass, which is probably what I do. And right over here is Johnny Areno. That when I was learning to play, my wife and I would go to the churches and hear him and his brothers and cousins and his daddy and uncle play as the Areno boys. They were fantastic, and I enjoyed everything they did. I booked them on a few shows, and he plays now with his daughter and son as the Arenos, and you ought to hear them sing now. They do some great harmony. First tune we're going to do is a Bill Monroe tune, up tempo, called Wheel Hoss. Get on up here. Get on up here. Okay. We're going to skip Walking the Dog. We're going to have Clifford sing, but we passed. We're going to feature Tom on this one here. Oh, I forgot to mention, Jonathan is the one that taught Thomas how to play, so let's give him a hand for that. We needed some young blood in the Medicare band, huh? Yeah, we're going to do a tune to the first one. Again, Bill Monroe is my favorite bluegrass person. He's passed away now, but I loved his music, and I probably know nearly every instrumental he ever wrote. And we're going to do the first one he ever wrote in 1940. It's called Tennessee Blues. I think Thomas got excited and wanted to keep going. Forgot we were running out of time. Okay. The last bluegrass song we'll do is probably the most famous fiddle tune to the public is any I know. It's called Orange Blossom Special. So you're going.
Orange Blossom Special.
You gonna sing one?
I'll try.
You don't get on up here. M, do something. Y'all do something back here. All aboard! Look yonder coming down that railroad track. Look yonder coming down that railroad track. It's that orange blonde special, bringing my baby back, back, back. Okay, we have one more song for you, and we always end the nursing home gig. There are a lot of old people here, so we'll sort of feel like we're at a nursing home. We always say at the nursing home, if somebody's going to play with us, they better be ready just for them to keep them. Because the oldest, in fact, there was a guy, we went to Rose Pine several times, and he lived right across the street, a guy named Zach Brooks. And I tell him, I said, you know, you're about 77 or 78 years old. I said, they may keep you. And he quit coming. He quit coming. He did. He quit coming. Anyways, this is one we end with, and we'll have Clifford and Sue sing a little of this for us. And I'll fly. We always end with this song, I'll Fly Away. Okay. Albert Brumley song. Okay, Em, you ready?
Yeah.
Everybody takes a break. Get on up here. Come on. There you go. Take off. We thank y'all for having us, and again, Thomas Townsley on the mandolin, Emily Young on the fiddle, Wes Edwards on the banjo, and Clifford and Sue Blackman on the guitar and the bass. And I'm Ron Mule, and we sure thank you. And if you want to buy any of my books, I'd really appreciate that. No. If you want one, they're here.